You're listening to Table Talk with Tottie, the podcast where we have real talk about life and business as a creative living in the 21st century. I'm your host, Natasha Tottie Weston. Let's get into it. Hey family, it's your host, Natasha Tottie Weston, and welcome to the 100th episode of the Table Talk with Tottie podcast. Can y'all believe we made it this far? I can. I am so extremely grateful in this moment for 7 years, 8 seasons. I'm just so grateful in this moment. I can't even put it into words. So for this final episode, I went back and forth on what I was going to say without just saying thank you guys, see y'all later, and chuck the deuces. I really had to put a lot of thought into like what I was going to say. But then at the same time, I don't want y'all to think that this is going to be the last time you hear from me in a podcasting setting, because while this is the end of an era for the Table Talk with Tottie podcast, this is the beginning of an era, a whole new era for what I like to call the Closed for Maintenance podcast era. And so, yes, you heard it right. I am ending one podcast, but we have been working hard on the back end on a brand new one. And I thought it was very important for me to be honest about where I was mentally, spiritually, and emotionally in my personal journey, because I just don't believe, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I just do not believe that you can really make an impact if you aren't in your authentic season. And this season for me right now is all about my mental health and my well-being. And y'all know I don't believe in quote unquote balance, but living as close to balanced, purpose-driven life as possible. That's the season that I'm in. And that's the only conversation that I can have in this season. And so I shared in a past episode that, that was one of the things that I struggled with when deciding to end this era, when deciding to end the Table Talk with Tottie podcast. Like, I don't mind talking about business and all of that. And I feel like entrepreneurship and those things will forever be a part of me. However, I, again, have to be true to who I am and where I am in my life right now. And I started the Table Talk with Tottie podcast to let you guys in on what my day-to-day conversations are with friends, colleagues, people in my network, people I meet in the grocery store. I feel like I always say the grocery store, but I do be meeting some interesting people in the grocery store. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I say all of that to say that I just want to let you guys in on the conversations that I'm having now, because they are benefiting me so much. They have been impacting my life so deeply. And I just feel like this new podcast is going to be that type of space. So Closed for Maintenance podcast is basically a world where the daily grind is taking a back seat and your well-being, my well-being, becomes the main attraction. I want to invite you to explore life beyond business, and we're going to do that in this podcast. It's such a fast-paced world where productivity and hustle are top priorities. And while those things are important, I'm just learning that, what the song say? How you going to win if you ain't right within? How you going to win if you ain't right within? That's how I feel about hustle, productivity, and mental health and well-being. And so Closed for Maintenance is going to essentially provide like a tranquil pause and a moment of self-reflection. And I'm going to have some amazing guests on where we're going to have heartfelt conversations with experts, thought leaders, and just people that I know and have experienced, who've experienced the transformative journey of prioritizing their mental health and well-being. So super duper excited for this new season and for us all being on this journey of mindfulness, emotional resilience, and pursuit of a life that truly nourishes our souls. So I am beyond myself. I have been working on this for a while. And I went back and forth on whether or not I was going to get in the nitty gritty of like how the name came about and all of that, which if you follow me for a while, you're probably like, that sounds familiar. But we'll get into all of that in the first episode of the podcast. I'm not going to give y'all a date yet, but make sure that you go over to natashaweston.com/podcast, because you'll be able to sign up for an exclusive list there where I'm going to be dropping hints and details and dates and all of that about the podcast. podcast. As a matter of fact, I had my group chat to actually pick out the cover art, which you will get to see when you go over to the website. And I'm just excited, you guys. I think that this is going to perfectly align with not only where I'm going, but with the message that I am trying to put out into the world. Again, I just can't express enough how grateful I am to have made it this far. I was talking to someone yesterday about podcasting, and they were quite surprised to learn that I've been podcasting for 7 years. 7 years. That's insane. Nobody sticks to things for a year now. And I'm just so grateful that even through my hiatuses, all of the breaks that I took, that, God has allowed me to make it to the finish line and to my goal of 100 episodes. And I wanted this episode to not be long, but I wanted to share this exciting news with you and let you know that, y'all can stop sending me the messages about being sad because you like the podcast. Don't worry. This podcast is going to forever be here. You can always go back and run it back whenever you'd like. You can go back to the beginning. But there's 8 seasons of amazing content about life as a creative in the 21st century. If you want to know my journey from start to now, this podcast will forever be here for your disposal or at your disposal. And I'm always going to be, there to listen and answer questions if I can, whenever you stumble upon old episodes that maybe you want to get my feedback on. Wherever, however I can help, I still will, but I have to be obedient in the season and I have to move forward. I got to turn the page, y'all. I got to turn the page. And so I'm so excited. I can't say it enough. I'm grateful for this podcast being the first podcast that I ever produced myself. I remember recording this thing in my closet for years, not getting a microphone till I was like 2-3 years in this thing and sticking to it and taking it serious and doing my own editing and my own producing. This podcast started my podcast network. And I can't ever forget about it. And so I'm thankful for every single person that listened, whether you subscribed or just stumbled upon it, whether you shared an episode or kept it to yourself, whether you were able to take applicable notes and apply them to your life, whatever or however you've interacted with myself or this show, I will forever be in gratitude to you for that. I've learned so much. I've grown so much. And so you can just imagine a pressure I'm about to apply to CFM, baby. It's going down. Do you understand? I'm so excited that I wish I could release this podcast next week, next month, but I can't. I gotta wait because timing is everything. And I want it to drop at a time where we're all ready and clear-headed and paying attention, because when I tell you the conversations, oh my God, going to change lives. And I want y'all to understand that I'm closed for maintenance. And you probably have gotten that vibe from me for a while. And I'm going to forever be closed for maintenance to a certain degree, because my mental health and my well-being is just that important to me. I could only give the world what I'm giving myself. And I can't give you a great me if I'm not great to myself. And so I want to let you in on the conversations that I'm having with men and women who I've watched and experienced their transformations, whether it's near or far, and whose transformations and stories have impacted me beyond business. I think it's important that we understand that life can't just be about the money. Life just can't be about the bag, because if your spirit isn't right, if your heart is cold and closed to growth, it really doesn't matter what kind of business you have, or what kind of grand ideas you have, or how many domains you own, or how talented you are. What matters is what's in your heart and what's in your soul, and that is the direction that we're going at in Clothes for Maintenance. So again, make sure that you go over to natashaweston.com/podcast. And that's just the beginning. I kind of just put a page up there so that I know who's interested in the podcast and getting updates and everything on it. I am so thankful for all of you. I don't even know how to end this, but I guess I better end it because I'm going to get sad and probably start crying, and I don't want to do that. But I'm going to miss this podcast. I'm going to miss you guys. And And if you choose not to come over to CFM, if you feel like that's not for you, then we'll be there when you're ready. I'll be there when you're ready. And I just welcome all of you who are going to come with me over to the other side, because I'm so excited. So go over to the website, get on the list. You can click the link in the description or the show notes for all of that information. And last but not least, please follow me all over social media at official Tottie. Information will be down in the show notes and description for just us to stay in contact in the meantime, in between time. But I'll leave you with this. Don't be afraid to move forward. Nothing should ever stay the same. And so if you are in a season, or if you're feeling like you have worn out your welcome with a certain season in your life, the season you're in now, don't fight it anymore. Let it go and let new life and new energy come towards you. Make room for it. Make room for it and watch and see what happens. I love you guys so much. Thank y'all for 100 episodes, 8 seasons, and an amazing run of the Table Talk with Tottie podcast. I am forever grateful. I love you guys, and I will talk to you soon.